All right, guys, welcome to this week's edition of Essie and Scrappy. Scrappy, how scrappy was it this weekend?
Or I'm going to make a claim. First off, this was the best year of Elite Eight we have seen. When we got to day two, the conversation within the media circle was any of these teams in the 18 bracket could win this event. True or false?
Yeah, no, I agree.
This was very simply, in my opinion, the best year of Elite Eight. Any team could win it, and every duel in day one, because of the way the seeding worked out for day two, had massive implications for the bracket.
Yeah, so for me, in years past, you had Minions and Kong, or you had Minions and Seabold, or you had Dynasty and a couple of teams. And this year the thing is that you had depth throughout. Now to be honest, right, you had a couple of kids step in that were local, that had to step in for each different team. I mean, we'll say that Jackson Locke he rolled the correct die cast there.
The Jackson Locke with some, how do I word this? Some spirited advice from his cheering section. We'll leave that at that. Guys,
she was awesome, dude. She was awesome.
Oh no, she was. Oh no, please make that clear. And if you don't know her, she's a dog. Like, she can go. Like, let's make that clear. But Steele Brown, Jackson Locke, Ethan Secoy stepped in. He only came in on Sunday, didn't he, for Black Mambas?
No. He got there on Saturday, but I think he did get called on like Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
I mean, you got
there were a couple others.
Colson Hoffman, you got Connor Doherty.
Hoffman.
You've got I mean, there were a number that stepped in for different teams. And I mean, I'm not gonna call it any particular team here, but there were some individuals who simply didn't show up. They didn't tell their coaches they weren't showing. They just didn't get on the plane, and when they got picked up, they weren't there. What is that about, man?
Excuse me. I had a cough, Jason. I had a cough. Excuse me. Yeah. To me, that's sucker behavior. I've always said that. To me, that's real corny to not let a coach know that, like, especially like if you took a spot knowing you weren't going to be there, which we've seen a couple of people do in years past where they kind of knew they weren't going to go, and you just don't tell a soul. I'm sorry, I can't get with that. I just can't, me personally.
Well, and then the other thing is that,
you're taking a spot from a kid that could, and one of these local kids that wants to scrap and test their hand against the best of the best. You're taking an opportunity from them.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
And what was funny is that Secoy stepped in right over on Stronghold, and Bo Davis stepped in for Stronghold, and they both kind of split the matches on day one. And next thing you know, Secoy's traded to Black Mambas to take that spot on day two, because why split the time
Which is
to give a
unprecedented? I don't even know. I don't think that's ever happened before that a guy switched midway through the event, which I'm happy about because everyone got more matches. So by no means am I mad at the situation, but we had a lot of unprecedented things happen this weekend.
And a couple other things I want to talk on real quick. And that is, before we get to the actual tournament, and that is, I understand being banged up, right? I have a lot of respect, tip of the cap. There were some individuals who showed up who were obviously banged up, and they still showed up and they still came and competed. Now, day two, they might have dipped a little early, and that's a little unfortunate, but it's not as if the team bailed. They were there.
Like for me, it's guys like Gene Decker, who was clearly compromised in his left arm. Luddington, midway through his first match, we saw what I'm going to call an upper groin area injury of some sort. He battled through. Well, no, because he split out to defend a shot and it was clear he just split bad. I almost wonder if his foot got caught at the edge of the mat, kind of. He wrestled hard. Christian Fretwell, I think, had more KT tape on him than I think KT produces in about 2 full calendar years, but he battled. Dominic Bambinelli did not look
like damn, yeah. And we're not
please,
giving. I don't want to give away any
no.
Hurt,
But he for sure looked like he wasn't himself, but he wrestled hard as hell for Roundtree, as you expect from Dominic Bambinelli. Like you said, tip of the cap to go to those guys for sure.
Well, and a tip of the cap to Metro West Stronghold, who were definitely outnumbered. But you know what? The fact that they came in, they banged, they competed. I know if you've got a number next to your name and you're like, this kid over here is a whatever state champion, and I've got to go against him. I came to get the match against the number 3 kid. I get it, but it is a tournament. Like, it is a duel. You're gonna have to step up and I
don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that because these kids go to Super 32 and wrestled 6 bracket fillers before they get to the semifinals. So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
like that's why on commentary I made the argument. Elite 8 to me is the toughest high school event in the country every year. I put it above Super 32. I put it above Fargo. And it's one reason. At Fargo, it's a 300-man bracket where, respectfully, 4 guys could win the bracket in most situations. And then you get maybe a baker's dozen that could All-American. Super 32, it's the same thing. At Elite 8, it's 12 teams, and usually 9 to 10 of them can bang in every weight class, and you have 7 to 8 guys ranked. There is no cakes. There are no bracket fillers. It is the best of the best. So that's my argument for Elite 8.
Well, and we saw it, right? I mean, we saw it with the teams that made the bracket on day 2, man. That was fun. That was so much fun. And there's a the team that ended up winning, POWA, they didn't finish unbeaten.
Nope. I think that's we talk about how tough the bracket was this year. You talk about POWA, bridesmaids last season to Dynasty. They came in intending to win. I spoke to Coach Arenda before the event. They knew they were going to put together a team that could make it happen. But man, they had to go through a straight murderer's row to get there. And you look at their bracket run, they beat a deep POWA. They beat Beast of the East, which I will say, not to diminish POWA's win by any means. Beast of the East did not wrestle a couple of their kids. They were banged up by the
time they got to that point, they were hurt.
I would love to have seen a full strength Beast and a full strength POWA. I think it would have been a great duel. And then they wrestle Stellar, which was supposed to be, in my opinion, a classic, but POWA took care of business against them.
Well, and how good was, Stellar, I don't know if all those kids wrestle for chance, but man,
I think most of them do. I think the majority of them are his kids.
I was impressed. Like, that's a group that came together, and that's one of the things I love about the teams that are not necessarily the all-star teams. I mean, I know Stellar's got some absolute studs, but they wrestle for what is across their chest. That means something.
I give a lot of respect. I give a lot of respect to the teams that bring their, I'm going to mention Stronghold for a second. Say what you want about them, man. Oh, they didn't have any rank. Man, fuck that. They brought their crew and they brought them to fight. And that, to me, I give a hell of a lot of respect for. Like, you look at Roundtree. Yes, they had Bickerton. Yes, they had some kids. But 8 or 9 of those kids,
most of them are Roundtree kids.
Roundtree.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And we've talked about other teams. I took a lot of heat for things I said about a certain team before the event. It played out the way I said it would. We're going to leave that there. If y'all want to be mad at me, y'all hit my DMs and I'll just send you the bracket. Anyways, I respect the teams that bring their crew.
Yeah.
And they rock and roll with their guys. That, to me, says a lot about the staff as well as the kids. And I really believe when it's your crew, you wrestle harder. I really believe that. Like, for me, I remember Before COVID hit, I was on Tong for NHSCA, which would have been a huge honor. But I knew and I know if I was wrestling for me, if I was wrestling with the CMP across my chest, I would have wanted it a little more because that's my home. That's my family. Tong would have been an amazing opportunity to possibly win NHSCAs. I'm not going to deny that. But I think there is a certain level of like just that like loyalty that when you wrestle for your club
Yeah.
that you have.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I would say is that I think Ludington took a loss because of an injury.
Yeah, I believe it was
Gorman had a
injury.
loss because of, I mean, well, in some really good match and that sort of thing. And you know what? I appreciate the kids who are going to Who's Number One this coming weekend, who still, I mean, they're like, you know what? Let's go. Let's go. I'm ready to compete.
Oh,
I'm not worried about all that. Like, let's go. I mean, come on.
that to me is awesome to me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's go through a couple names that kind of stood out. I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to say a name and you kind of just give me a real quick kind of thing. Justin Farnsworth, stellar trained.
Boy, boy, he made 100, and he was kind of proving a point about being a young buck and the middle school. Shout out to the middle schoolers that he ran heads up with, but boy, he liked that. He's hip.
How about Braden Weinrich for Team Thunder at 106?
I didn't get to see him as much, but boy, he was tough.
Yeah.
Boy, he was tough.
Well, and he beat Swan 10-3, and that was Swan's only loss on the weekend.
Yeah.
And then you had Caleb Noble
No.
for Dynasty. Yeah, Noble, who wrestled really, really well. You know, one of the kids that I actually liked watching at 106 was a kid by the name of Mateo Gallegos.
Oh, he was
from
tough.
POWA.
He was tough, man.
Yeah,
I got to watch a lot of his duels. He was super tough.
That's cool. All right, let's throw out a couple of 113s. Bradley Patterson for Minions, man.
If he doesn't have a number by his name by the end of next week, I'm texting Flo personally and I'm yelling at him. He has wins over Morrison, Merrill, Bickerton, Simons, Tansini, Luttrell, Rosas. What? Also, I know we want to bring up Bradley Patterson, but can I say who my MVP of the tournament was?
Sure.
And it's in this weight class. It's Jonathan McGinty. Unranked. Wins over Simon, the Abdi Union. If you do not see that match, go watch Dynasty New Jersey Commission with someone said that I am like Bobby the Brain Heenan and Bob Costas put together, but younger and better looking. So I'm stealing that. But anyways, you got me on the call for that one, which makes that match even better.
Oh my God, Bobby the Brain Heenan and Bob Costas not better looking. Okay,
of course.
Ooh.
We know Ansley agrees. Anyways. He has wins over Tanisian, Don Morrison, Bickerton, Coluccio, and Rosas. He was unranked to start the weekend. In my opinion, scrapper of the week goes to Mr. Jonathan McGinty. He was a dog.
120, Urchuk, Mills. I mean, both were unbeaten when it came down to their match. That was pretty cool to watch the two of them scrap.
Agreed. And Urchuk took care of business. And I will say a match that me not knowing their history, I would have taken Mills outside looking in, but Urchuk took care of business. Fair play to him.
Well, and they had one scramble that was just awesome to watch. It really was.
Yep.
All right. So 126, Aaron Seidel. You had Slater Hicks Dynasty. Yeah, we don't really have to say anything.
Do we need to say anything about Aaron Seidel? I mean, he's number 2 in the land for a reason. He's going to be a Penn State Nittany Lion for a reason. The kid is a monster.
I think Seidel's going to Virginia Tech.
Yes, VTech. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of someone else. We'll get there later. I completely Freudian slip.
Now, I will say, De Janeiro Seidel in that final.
That was good until the last 2 minutes.
It was. I mean, De Janeiro's right there. It's 1-0. It's a 1-0 match. And next thing you know, Seidel puts up, 9 on him?
Yeah, I think it ended up 10-0 or something.
Oof. All right. 132. I want to talk about a couple of kids. The Mendozas, right? Seth Mendoza was absolutely just a stud but he had to go to it to beat Jake Hockaday, who was
Oh, for sure. That was a great
absolutely a
match.
hammer. And how tough on his feet is Moses Mendoza?
I don't know if anyone this weekend had a deeper bag on their feet than Moses Mendoza. He can go straight forward. He can come at you to a strong side attack or a weak side. He can counterattack. He can duck you. He could now you see me, now you don't. Like his bag, and you want to talk about got that dog in him? You want to talk about a guy that didn't take no ish on the mat? We saw it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Nah, that kid is super tough.
Uh,
Super tough.
all right, let's move to 138. Probably the match. I mean, Gorman beat Askew. Askew's only loss on the weekend was to Gorman and really,
And can I say something about that match?
yeah.
I love Drew Gorman. Everyone knows that. I have rolled with Nate Askew since he was a child. I love Nate. They both are elite. I thought that match was going to be a barn burner. Gorman beat Askew like he stole something.
Yeah, he
Gorman,
really.
and I think midway through the match, I even texted it to you. This weekend, especially on day one, that was the best I'd ever seen Drew Gorman look.
I
Genuinely.
agree. Well, and Askew beat what? Blue Stifler. He beat Gunnar Andrick. He beat some studs. Caden
And he
Baum,
beat a suit. I
Camden
was saying
Baum.
he beat Camden Baum, who was tough. And I want to mention at 138, Caden Riccardi looked incredible.
Well,
But this is where
in that match, were you on that call with Riccardi versus Gorman?
I was not. I was on the other quarter. I was on one of the other quarterfinals.
Wow. So I'm going to tell everybody, go back and watch that match itself. It came down to, it looked like Gorman had the takedown at the end to get the win, but they said time ran out. Wow. It was
But
super
what I
close.
was told by the Beast of the East staff was in some configuration, Gorman ripped Riccardi's knee off at one point.
Oh, really?
That's what I was told. And that's why Riccardi didn't wrestle the rest of the weekend, from what I was told. Don't anyone yell at me if that's not the case. Don't anyone even dare. That's only
Well,
what I was told.
Riccardi was tough as hell. I mean, I have a lot of respect for him. All
Oh,
right,
yeah.
so let's jump to 144. And man, I love watching Daniel Zepeda wrestle.
I do as well. There's someone else I want to mention in this weight class.
All right, but first, if you guys didn't get a chance to see him, man, that kid is slick. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait to watch him versus Bassett.
Oh, I think that match is going to be all-time classic type of match.
All right, so who's the other person at 144?
My lovely girlfriend was sitting next to me the whole weekend while I was doing commentary. Quick shout out to her. And all of a sudden, Dorian Oliveras hits the mat from Dynasty. And I said to her, I looked him up because if anyone doesn't know, I try to have good talking points throughout the dual meet for each wrestler. I do my best. I'll look up Dorian Oliveras, and wrestling's not the first thing that comes up. Kid is an ADCC trials winner, which if you know jiu-jitsu, winning ADCC trials is nuts. And he went 6-1 on the weekend, beat the door hinges off of most of his opponents. His only loss was 4-2 to Zepeda in a classic. I watched that match after my duel finished. Like, both of those two were incredible. But yes, Zepeda to me, I don't think there might not have been a better kid in the building this weekend than Daniel Zepeda. I might go as far as to say that.
Well, so for me at 150, his teammate, I'm not sure anybody had a better weekend than Will Denny. I mean, I didn't really know who Will Denny was, but man, I'll tell you what, if you watched his matches this weekend, he was a dog. He was absolutely outstanding. And for Black Mambas, Jace Van Hoven wrestled exceptionally well. Colin Gage wrestled exceptionally well. Guy, thank you. Guy.
Yeah.
For Stellar Train.
No, I was saying Gage the whole weekend until the finals, until Ryan asked him before the finals.
But I will say, Will Denny, man. Will Denny.
I was going to say, I want to make a point about Will Denny. Undefeated on the weekend. Wins over Little Dean, Lawler, Heiser, Spieth. In the semifinals, it was a shame. But Zach Blount's shoulder was obviously compromised going into the event, and their match ended in a medical forfeit. And I was really upset to see that. I would love to see that matchup ran back at some point with them at full health. I think that match has all the makings. But yes, please keep in mind, if you didn't know who Will Denny was before the weekend, I bet you do now.
I
I,
bet you
I
do.
bet you do now.
All right. So jumping to 57. Obviously, Stellar Train's Colin Rath was a stud. He beat Jacob
Monster.
Herm.
A
He beat
monster.
Brogan Tucker. He beat Contino. I mean, he beat Evanansky. He beat pretty much everybody. Did you check? Did you see the match between Junior Cross Cassidy and I think it was a Minions kid. I thought it was a Minions
I
kid.
didn't see. I don't think I had Junior Cross Cassidy at any point in the weekend.
So he hit. Oh, it might have been a Roundtree kid. He hit a move, and then you'll have to go look it up on the Instagram. He actually puts his hand like on his head.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I saw the clip. That was nuts. I love that.
like what in the world is that about? It's like
Y'all know me.
yeah, I
I
know.
love a little. I love a little. Hey, show yourself a little bit. Why not? Hey, listen, if you got the jet boosters on, why not throw the wings up in the car? Why not?
So at 65, we didn't get Bambinelli versus Parrington. That would have
Boo.
been the match, right?
Hey, I want to make this point. Cliff, we did it the first Elite Eight and the second one a couple of times. Bring back matchups. I remember Singleton versus one of the Beast of the East kids, the second.
Danny Wask.
Wask, you're right.
Wask, yeah.
We need to bring that back. If there are a couple highly ranked kids that don't square off, call them out and let's run it. Toe the damn line. Run it is my thought on it.
175. Tyler Ice, Ty Ice versus came in. Ryan Burton. Ryan Burton had a really good win against Emmett Sherlock, 5-1.
And he had a really good win against Easy.
Easy.
Burton bumped up to wrestle that match, and the two of them went to war. I didn't get a chance to commentate that duel, but I would love to have. I heard it was really, really good.
Well, and Beasy didn't lose. I think he lost one other match. Otherwise, I mean, Burton was the person who put it on him.
His other loss on the weekend was Carson Thomas from Dynasty.
Yeah.
And Thomas kind of...
He had a good weekend.
Thomas put it on him.
Yeah.
16-5 was the score in that one.
So two kids at 190 I didn't know anything about, but I watched them wrestle several times, and that is Lane Ford from POWA, Brockton Borelli from Carnage. Both of them looked really good. I was impressed with both of them in their matches.
Lane picked up a huge fall in the finals over Spielman, and I think Lane Ford is my girlfriend's favorite wrestler other than myself because of his beautiful head and arm choke that he used.
Oh, in the final, right? Was it the finals? Yeah.
Yes. Quick shout out. Yeah, Lane Ford looked incredible this weekend.
At 215, we had Anthony Harris, Connor Bakum. Both ended up 6-0. Again, if you go through the list of their matches, they were super, super good. And I didn't know who Jackson Barron from Beast of the East was.
I bet you do now.
But he wrestled tough. He went 1-3. He lost some Mark Maron, but he wrestled Connor Bakum like really, really tough in their matchup. Yeah.
Then 285, a couple of guys went undefeated. We didn't get Ephedian versus Betchhold, which I wanted. Yeah. Rocco Delegata only wrestled 3 times. He was banged up. I believe going into the event, I think he was banged up.
He looked banged up going into the event.
Yeah, I don't want to say what it was, but I was told it was a nagging injury, and then he either worsened it in one of his matches. I forget what the actual shtick was, but something happened where he made it worse, and then he ended up getting shut down, I think, after the quarters. I think they just didn't run him the rest of the weekend.
Well, and shout out to Minions Tyson Russell who wrestles at Cleveland. He went 6-1. His only loss was to Dean Bechtold. And Tyson, I think, committed to the Naval Academy just this past week.
Good for him. Yeah. Good for him. And I want to shout out specifically Always cleanup hitter Jackson Locke. I took the position on like legitimately less than 24 hours notice, went 4-3, got himself a couple of solid wins. Mason Brancanto from New Jersey Commission is not a bad win for him, as well as a win over Everett Olivet. He had a good match against Leland Day. So quick shout
Good.
out to him. Really, really good work from him this weekend.
All right. So as we finish up Elite Eight, one of the things I noticed from Cliff, real quick, on Instagram just before we went on, he mentioned the possibility of bringing back freestyle.
Watch this. Because I'm gonna say something now. Cliff, Elite Eight, I'm throwing the gauntlet down. Let Scrappy in. We will be an all Georgia team, the only all Georgia team, and we will make the eight. Book it. Book it. I'm calling them out. Do it. Run it. Folk style, freestyle, Greco, Sambo, beach wrestling, run it.
All right. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. That's interesting, though. All right.
I'd like to see freestyle back. If we're being serious for a moment, I'd like to see freestyle back.
Two things as we finish up, because I actually do need to run this week because I have 10,000 things that I have to get done.
Yeah.
So two things. Number one, make sure you check back with us in a few days because Scrappy and I are getting ready to talk about the top 25 of the last 25. And from hearing him talk, I don't think he has any idea what he's talking about.
And I don't think you do either, Mr. Watches black and white film wrestling. I don't care.
Yeah, it's on those. It's on the reel. Like,
yeah, we done with the '80s high schoolers. We done with them. We done with the '80s. And I'll tell you that much. I'm gonna piss people off, and I don't care.
And last thing, did you see the Super 32 charity, like the spots for charity?
Yeah.
$10,000.
I hope it's real, right? Like that it really is charity. I hope it.
That's crazy, man.
I haven't seen it official from anywhere. I just saw the screenshot on eBay.
When did wrestling become a rich kid sport?
Hey, newsflash, best friend, it's always been.
No, it hasn't always been. Not in
I disagree with you on that.
Day.
Oh, you and me could have this argument. I disagree with that. Because half these kids at these D1 colleges are there because they had the money to go to the right events. So don't get me started. I'll get on my soapbox.
So hang on. Super 32 did not exist when I coached.
It's great. They were going to Fargo, but before Fargo, when it was still at the UNI. Don't get me started.
All right. So
that's
you know what?
1-0 De Silva. That's 1-0 De Silva.
No, that's not 1-0 De Silva.
Oh, yes, it is. I'll get it. We can get a jury of our peers.
All right. Hang on. Has it gotten worse?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
We've gotten better and worse because there's more opportunities. But, hey, let me ask you something. And watch this. How much is it to go to Fargo with Team Georgia? I rest my case. All right, I rest my case.
How much was it to go to Team Georgia for Fargo in, say, 2000?
That's when gas was still under $3 a gallon. What are you talking about? Don't play with me. I'm not stupid. I'm just one of these other little 20-year-olds you might be able to run circles around. I'm not dumb.
Well, that's still debatable. Still debatable. Still debatable.
We'll see.
All right, guys. Thank you for the week. Hey, Lucas, it was great hanging out with you this weekend.
Always,
and you know what? In a few days, you and I are going to debate some top 25.
We're going to have some fun.
All right, man. Take care. See you.
Peace.
Bye.